What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for June 5th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Thursday edition of the podcast. For me, it's the last day of school for the kids I oversee. Always an exciting time of the year. I know a lot of places have already been out for the year. With the last day of school, that means it's shore time. And if you're going down to the shore, don't let the stress of moving in, figuring out how you're going to get your stuff to the beach, don't let it stress out and start your vacation off wrong. Go to Beach Caddy. Let them take the stress out of your vacation. If you're in Sea Isle, Ocean City, Avalon, Stone Harbor, or Wildwood, they can move your stuff in from your car to your house. End of the week, they move it out, put it back in your car, and then they got the best beach wagons, beach carts, whatever you want to call them, at the Jersey Shore or anywhere for that matter. Nice, big, puffy wheels that easily glide over the sand. If you're like me, you've tried everything. The little plastic wheels get stuck as soon as you get off of the promenade, the boardwalk, whatever. Beach Caddy has you covered. Use the promo code Jimbo to take 10% off of your move-in, move-out service as well as your beach car rental. Go to beachcaddy.app. If you're in Ocean City, Sea Isle, Avalon, Stone Harbor, or Wildwood, let Beach Caddy take the stress out of your vacation. Don't forget to use that promo code Jimbo to take 10% off and enjoy your time at the shore. All right. Did not enjoy watching that Phillies game last night. Actually, I take that back. Mick Abel was outstanding. Hopefully that is a sign of things to come. Went 5 1/3, 2 strikeouts, 1 earned run. I'll put that in quotation marks because probably should have been an error on Brandon Marsh. Should have caught that ball that led to Bichette's triple that tied the game. But Abel seemed like he was at a good command of his stuff, good velocity. You could tell he got a little bit tired there in the 6th inning, but with the news that they're going to sit out Aaron Nola a little bit, he's still a little sore. Should get, now that he's going to be on the club and sort of get in a routine, I look for him to bounce back in his next start. But Mick Abel seems like he's going to be in the starting rotation, at least for another start or two. But offensively, geez, like no offense whatsoever. And they had their chances, but between Turner and Stott popping up, swinging for the fences, instead of just getting the ball into the outfield in the air to tie that game up, or actually I think at that point they would have taken the lead. Just not good. Rob Thompson, I don't know why he didn't call for the intentional walk there in the 9th with 2 outs. Load the bases, get the easy out, and then focus on the next batter. But they're still in position to win this series this afternoon. Jesus Luzardo looks to bounce back from the worst start of his career. But just it's a shame that they wasted Mick Abel the way they did yesterday because he was outstanding. Looks like he's going to be a piece of this rotation or at least this pitching staff. Who knows once Nola comes back. But shout out and kudos to Mick Abel for looking good yesterday. And I don't know. Personally, I think it's time to bring up one of these dudes from the Lehigh Valley. I don't know if you bring up J.P. Crawford yet. I know some people are like, oh, he's still learning to play. He's not. They need some energy. So if that's Otto Kemp, I don't know. But they need something to infuse some energy into this lineup because even with Bryce being back now, it's just when they go south, they all go south. I don't get it at all. Like, baseball is a game where people go on slumps all the time, hot streaks, and the other guys in the lineup kind of balance it out. But with this team, when one person goes south, they all go south. And I've never seen anything like this before. So maybe some new energy from the Lehigh Valley. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, these guys aren't ready, this, that. But listen, they're in their 22, 23 years old now. Get them up there. Didn't have a problem with it with Jimmy Rollins. Didn't have a problem with it with Chase Utley. Ryan Howard was able to come up, albeit he was a little later because of Jim Thome. Cole Hamels came up early. Get these guys in here, man. Like, everybody talks about how great these prospects are. Why not let them learn on the job? I don't think J.P. Crawford, Otto Kemp, or any of these guys can do any worse than what we have Kepler, Marsh, and Rojas doing? Why not let them learn on the job and get real world experience? Sometimes it's better to be thrown in the fire and just learn as we go. And I know a lot of baseball guys will disagree with me on that, but this team needs some energy. I don't know what that means, what that looks like, but they need like a shot of swag. Like they have no swagger. And I think it eventually is going to catch up and cost them. But they look to take the series today up in Toronto. Mick Abel looked great. Hopefully Jesus can bounce back from that piss-poor performance he had the other day. But like I said, I mean, let me know your thoughts on that on Discord or on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Like I said, there's a lot of people out there that we talked yesterday about Philadelphia fans not being knowledgeable. And look, I'm not saying these guys are going to come up and be superstars. I'm saying maybe the energy and their excitement and whatnot will rub off on these other guys. And truthfully, like I said, Otto Kemp and J.P. Crawford will not do any worse than what Kepler, Marsh, and Rojas are doing in the outfield. So, I mean, what do you got to lose at this point? And if they come up and you find that they're not what they have, then at least you know, or what you think they were, at least you know that then. I don't know. That's my thought. Let me know what you think about that. Let's do some quick housekeeping. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Jimbo_Mont. Continue to spread the word. We are growing. I've noticed in the recent weeks the growth is starting to speed up. So that is all a testament to you. So thank you. As always, if there are you want to see highlights, photos, things like that of what we're talking about on this day, all of that is available on my social media, as well as my Facebook and LinkedIn. So go check that out. We celebrated 1,000 shows the other day, and I announced some big changes coming later this month. We will be dropping to a Monday through Friday format, really to open up some opportunities and things for me to do and expand the brand a little bit on the weekends. Looking forward to the last day of school today, so I'm looking forward to the time to actually start mapping things out, have the Eagles pregame show in the works. I have a co-host already lined up for that, just working on timing and some behind-the-scenes technical stuff. But opening up the weekends will allow me time to work on that. You'll still get the same quality. We're going to play around with some different segments then during the week. We'll still do a weekly recap or a weekend recap on Monday, so you're not going to miss out on what happened this day in Philly sports history over the weekend. Obviously, Positivity Motivation Tuesday is staying. Fridays with the AI is staying. And I have some fun things planned for Wednesdays and Thursdays. So stay tuned for that later this month as we drop to Monday through Friday. I mentioned that we're a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. With that comes new sponsors. And Lotwin, these guys are amazing. Get 3D custom-made hype chains. They're great for youth sports. They're great for fantasy football, fantasy baseball, whatever fantasy leagues you have going on. Great for bachelor parties, bachelorette parties, gag gifts at the office. You name it, you can use these things for anything, but they're incredible, custom-made, meticulously designed, and just get in communication with them. They'll work with you, and they'll get you what you need. Go to lotwin.com. Use the promo code TCCPOD for 10% off your order. That's TCCPOD for 10% off your order. But those things are amazing. All right, yesterday's trivia question. I asked you from 1984, the year after they won the World Series, to 2000, how many winning or above 500 seasons did the Phillies have? 3. They had 3 seasons during that 17-year period where they were 500 or better. They had 1984 when they finished 500, 1986 when they finished over 500, won 86 games, but finished 21 and a half games back of the Mets, and of course 1993. And I say that and I ask that question because a lot of times people are like, why are Philly fans so angry? Well, when you have 3 500 or better seasons between 1984 and 2000, you're going to be a little angry. Just kind of throwing that out there. There will be another trivia question here later in the show. All right, June 5th. Got a little bit of a Sixers, Eagles, and some horse racing today. Yes, we're going to dip our toes in the horse racing today. First, we're going to go back to 1977. And on this day in 1977, any dream that the Sixers had of winning an NBA championship was dashed when they lost to the Blazers 109-107 out in Portland. They had a chance to tie this game and send it to overtime, but couldn't get it done. Dr. J, to his credit, did go off for 40 points. George McGinnis had 28 and 16 rebounds, but the Sixers had no answer for Bill Walton, who had 20 points and 23 rebounds. This is the series that they lost 4 straight games after going up 2-0. That whole fight with Darryl Dawkins really changed the complexion of the entire series, and it was all downhill from there. However, hopes were high. This was Dr. J's first year with the team. Everybody was like, okay, this guy is the man. He was huge in the ABA, but it would be another 6 years of trials and tribulations before the Sixers would win the NBA championship. But their first crack at it with Dr. J ended on this day with a 109-107 loss to the Portland Trailblazers. Fast forward to 1984, and the NHL and NBA drafts are coming up, and you'll hear a lot the term generational talent. This guy is a generational talent. This guy is not a generational talent. But you hear that term thrown around, and 9 times out of 10, generational talents are just that, generational talents. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, to a lesser extent LeBron, Tom Brady. And you'll see things like this, and a lot of times they come out of nowhere. But on this day in 1984, the Eagles actually got one. Not sure they expected it, but it was the first round of the supplemental draft. And what they did was the NFL saw the writing on the wall with the USFL, knew that they weren't going to be around too much longer. So a lot of these players, or all of these players, were players who had either signed with the USFL or the CFL and were not eligible for the regular NFL draft. And in order to kind of control bidding wars and things like that, small market teams versus large market teams, the NFL decided to do a supplemental draft of strictly USFL and CFL players. The Eagles had the 4th pick, and with the 4th pick in the first round, they took Reggie White, the very definition of a generational talent. Had 124 sacks with the Eagles in 8 seasons. He was the heart and soul, the leader of those defenses under Buddy Ryan. Unfortunately, they just could not, for a variety of reasons, get to the promised land. But Reggie, to me, is the GOAT. I think you put him right up there with guys like Lawrence Taylor as the greatest defensive players ever. Reggie White might be the greatest defensive end of all time. Lawrence Taylor was more of a hybrid linebacker, but certainly one of the top 10 all-time NFL players. You can make the case for a top 5, but I think all-time NFL history, Reggie's probably in that 7 to 9 range. But Eagles got him and drafted him number 1, or with the 4th pick in the first round of the NFL, USFL, CFL supplemental draft. He would come and start playing for the Eagles. I believe his rookie year was 1985. So he finished out the season in USFL and then jumped ship to the Eagles then, and just became obviously an Eagles Mount Rushmore player, but possibly a defensive Mount Rushmore player of all time in the NFL. On this day in 1984, Reggie White officially came. Well, I shouldn't say officially came, but the Eagles drafted the rights to Reggie White, which after the USFL went through its issues, Reggie came to the Eagles and just became one of the most dominant, if not the most dominant defensive player of all time. And then in 2004, the entire region had Smarty Jones fever. Smarty Jones was a horse from Chester County, born at Fairthorn Farms. Did his training over in New Jersey, so had a lot of local flair. I remember everybody, especially after the Kentucky Derby, had Smarty Jones fever. I won the Derby by 2 3/4 length, blew out the field at the Preakness, winning by 11.5, and all of a sudden, the Triple Crown seemed like a legitimate possibility. came out in the Belmont on this day in 2004 and got off kind of quicker than what he should have. Probably, if it wasn't the Belmont, if it was the Derby or the Preakness, would have held on to win. Would have been a top 4 all time. Would have won all the Derbies up until that point, with the exception of maybe 4. However, the Belmont is just slightly longer than the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness, and Smarty got caught in the very final furlong by Birdsong. Everybody was hoping it ended the 26-year drought of a Triple Crown, but unfortunately, it was just not meant to be, as Smarty Jones lost to Birdsong, ending his dream of a Triple Crown. Still one of the best horses to ever come out of this area. Smarty's doing pretty well out there studying on the farm out there, so don't feel bad for Smarty, but the Triple Crown dreams of a local horse winning ended on this day when Birdsong upset Smarty Jones in the Belmont Stakes. All right, today's trivia question. We're going to go back to Reggie White, and this is not the official trivia question, but what was Reggie White's number before he was 92 with the Eagles? And if you want to even go deep into the archives, who wore number 92 Reggie's freshman, his rookie year with the Eagles? There's a question for you. But we're going to stick with Reggie for today's trivia question. Obviously, Reggie has 198 career sacks, second all-time to Bruce Smith. But if you count his USFL sacks, Reggie would be the professional football leader in all-time sacks. I always like to throw that caveat out there because Reggie played 2 years in the USFL. But of all the quarterbacks that Reggie White has sacked in his career, who has he sacked the most at 15 and a half times? That is today's trivia question. Hit me up on the Discord channel, the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. Any of my social media. What quarterback did Reggie White sack the most, sacking him 15 and a half times in his career? And if you want to show your deep football knowledge, who wore number 92 before Reggie White? And what number was Reggie his rookie year with the Eagles? All right, I mentioned the Clashing Conferences. Great things happening with their sports fan network. Go to clashingconferences.com. See how you can get involved. Always looking for new members. Good group of guys. Have fun on the podcast. New episodes drop today and tomorrow. If you're in need of media services, the Clashing Conferences can help you out there as well. Go to clashingconferences.com. See what they have to offer. See how you can get involved. Join the network. Come over, have some fun. Like I said, these guys, it's a great group of guys. Very excited and pleased to be a part of their network. And then check out the new episodes of their podcast. One drops today, should be available as you're listening to this. And then another new one drops tomorrow. And then, of course, the GOAT of this podcast is Philly Goat, the OG partner / sponsor. They got you covered for Father's Day. Don't forget about Dad. All kinds of great shirt. I told you I picked out the Cruck Around and Find Out, the maroon one. I picked the black Tecmo Bowl Tush Push one. Excited to get that for Father's Day. But go mess around in their site. The Eagles Rocks glass, or the Philly Fanatic Rocks glasses are pretty cool. And I think I just came up with another idea for Ryan and the crew over there. Eagles Rocks glasses. I don't know, maybe the Fly logo that they have on the shirt, or even I have the sticker on the back of my truck, the bird wing with the bicep coming out of it. Those would make pretty cool Rocks glasses too, especially for this season as we celebrate being Super Bowl champions. But go to Philly Goat, look through their website, see what they have. They got you covered for Father's Day. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. And if you play your cards right, you can get stuff for Dad. And with the promo code, you can end up getting yourself something for free too. So go to Philly Goat, use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. And don't forget about Dad. All right, finally today, our greatest individual season in Philly sports tournament continues. One of my favorite times of the year. Love these tournaments. And yesterday we had a matchup out of the Flyers region. The 95-96 Eric Lindros season took on the 1986-87 Ron Hextall season. And in a close one, it was Eric Lindros from 95-96 knocking out Ron Hextall's 86-87 season with 55% of the vote. They will move on to take on another goalie. I think they're taking on Bernie Parent, one of his great seasons in the next round. But thank you for everyone who voted. Now to today's matchup. I'm wearing my Spectrum shirt in honor of today's Sixers region matchup. And we have an 8-9 matchup, so this should be interesting. First, we're going to go to Charles Barkley, the number 8 seed, his 1987-88 season. It was the first Sixers season post Dr. J, which we just talked about, Dr. J's first season. And really, it was the first season that Charles really became the leader of the team and stepped up as an elite NBA player. He averaged 28.3 points per game, almost 12 rebounds a game, led the league in field goal percentage with 63%. He was an all-star, all-NBA first team, led the league in free throws and free throw attempts, fourth in the MVP voting, though. The team itself did not make the playoffs, but we saw Charles Barkley emerge as a superstar in this league in 1987 and 1988. That is the number 8 seed out of the Sixers region. And this might be surprising that this guy is a number 9 seed, but again, there were so many great seasons that I had to spread out Wilt's seasons a lot. But today, the number 9 seed is taking, or Charles Barkley is taking on the number 9 seed, Wilt Chamberlain's 1967-68 season. Now, from Wilt standards, he only averaged 24.3 points per game. That's down from, he's averaged almost 50 before in the season. Did pull down 23.8 rebounds, but because he wanted to, he led the league in assists with 702. Not assists per game, total assists. Wilt Chamberlain led the league simply because he wanted to. Obviously, that affected his points per game. He led the league in free throw attempts. His 59.5 field goal percentage also led the league. His rebounds, 23.8, that led the league. He averaged 46.8 minutes per game that season. Did win the MVP. Despite all of that, he won the MVP and led the league in total assists because he wanted to. It was the highest ever assists per game average, a little over 8 ever by a center. The Sixers won the East Division, but did lose to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference or Eastern Division Finals, ending their run as the champions. And then this would end up being Wilt's last season with the Sixers. So who do you got? Who had a better season? Charles Barkley in 1987-88 or Wilt Chamberlain in 1967-1968? Hit me up on Discord. Hit me up on social media, 267-495-8531. Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line. But which Sixers individual season was better? Charles Barkley in 1987-88 or Wilt Chamberlain in 1967-68? This one I'm sure is going to fall on generational lines. But get your vote in. Send me a smoke signal, whatever you got to do. Don't forget about the trivia question. Which quarterback has Reggie White sacked the most in his career? 15.5 times is how many times he sacked this guy. On this day in 2004, Smarty Jones fever ended with Smarty just being edged out by Birdsong, the last furlong of the Belmont Stakes, after winning the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown and causing Smarty Jones hysteria across the region. In 1984, Eagles select Reggie White with the number 4 overall pick in the NFL Supplemental Draft of USFL and CFL players. And in 1977, the Sixers' dream of an NBA championship ended when they lost their 4th straight against the Blazers, 109-107 out in Portland. But they would get back and finally win a title in 1983. Hopefully the Phillies can take this series against Toronto. Let me know your thoughts on bringing up the guys from the Lehigh Valley. I think bringing up Otto Kemp, dude has been mashing down there. They just need an infuse, influx of energy, whatever you want to say. They just need something. So let me know your thoughts on that. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for June 5th, 2025. Tomorrow we spend Fridays with AI. Go enjoy your Thursday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.